Hey everybody, Steven here, episode 2 of season 4, Green Effect Podcast on the air. Let's go. Got a few things to talk about this week, and I'm telling you, it's this economy. Like, if you're not listening to podcasts or following people online and stuff, I'm telling you, you're missing out on information. So, hopefully, this podcast helps out a little bit with that. Now, if you're on video and you're watching me on YouTube, and seriously, you should be watching me on YouTube, you probably notice I'm kind of swaying back and forth a little bit. It's because I'm at my standing desk. So I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast where I've got my spine is like being pinched, but no, my spine is pinching a nerve or a spinal cord or something like that. So I've got like numbness and soreness, and I'm gonna live. It's whatever. It is what it is. I need a bit of a surgery, but if you're online and you're watching me and you kind of see me kind of go back and forth as I move around because I'm standing, that's what it is. So, all right. So let's talk about the first subject around rates. Okay. I know everybody tunes in because they want to hear me bitch and complain about rates. So let's get that started. So rates are kind of a moving target. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. You've got to make sure you're working with a proper mortgage professional when you're talking about mortgage rates, renewals, new purchases. I have spoken to several clients. I have a bunch of appointments a week with people. And listen, I think I always say this to my new agents on my team. People ask just off the bat what the best rate is because they don't know what other things to ask. And I think when I'm talking to my clients, I like to make sure that we explore everything. It's about the rate for sure. Like if I'm double somebody else, hell, go with somebody else, fine, whatever. But it's more than just the rate because if you get just the best rate, I'm telling you, you're not going to like the mortgage. So rates are kind of a thing where you got to make sure you got someone helping you that's right and who understands um, overall how mortgages work and giving advice looking forward. Because here's the thing right now, rates right now they're all coming down. I get it, but we have a lot of banks calling clients in a bit of a silo and saying, "Hey, do you want this 5-year fixed rate? Why don't you take this 5-year fixed rate? This 5-year fixed rate's amazing. Why don't you early renew a year, 2 years in advance, whatever?" I'm telling you, it might be a great rate, and I'm not saying it's the wrong option, but you got to consult with a mortgage professional. I know a guy, let me know, to make sure it's not just about your mortgage in a silo. It's about all the other things. Are you planning to move? Are you planning, do we need to refinance this in a couple of years? Where are things with kids? What's your savings? What's your debt level? You do an early renewal into a quote, really good 5-year fixed rate, but we really got to consider consolidating some debt and opening up payments. I had one client this week or last week, they were going to save them like 50 grand in interest, like $50,000 in interest in like 20 months because we're going to consolidate some debt and it all makes sense. So rates right now, yes, they're coming down. They're aggressive. Fixed rates mainly, because remember, fixed rates are connected to the bond market and the bond market's coming on down. Let me just double check right now as of the recording of this. Median 5-year. I just want to see what it's at right now. Government bond. Spelling is a definite challenge over here. Yeah, dude, it's 5-year government bond has come down and it's staying down. As of the recording of this, we're at 3.2%, 3.2 and change percent. Took a huge dip, looks like Friday morning, and then it came right back. So, yeah, so someone like myself who can kind of look forward and kind of give some advice, this is what you got to look for. So bond prices coming down. Obviously, our economy is completely stifled. All right, let's just face it. Like, there's just not a lot going on, right? Houses are still sitting. We're going to talk about power sales and foreclosures in just a moment, but by and large, rates are coming down. And I think I will throw this at you. This whole HSBC sale to RBC, it's not good for consumers. It's just freaking not. The less competition that lenders have, the worse it is, right? I have a lot of clients who are doing deals through HSBC because they are super competitive on rate. That's awesome. A prime huge bank offering good rates. Why not, right? It allows everyone to kind of stay honest. So I don't know how much longer we're going to have HSBC in the channel, but super important that something like that is out there, and now we're losing that. On the variable side of things, we're seeing lenders kind of stay pat. So I really consider rates not changing if it's within 20, if it goes up or down, say 15, 20 basis points. That's just some normal fluctuation, right? As opposed to the fixed side where we've seen some lenders drop as much as 85 basis points over the last 6, 7 weeks, which is actually absolutely crazy. So, by and large, folks, fixed rates are coming down, but I'm telling you, don't just lock in into anything without looking big picture. Cash flow, income, savings, debt. Why would you take the largest financial debt thing in your world and just go willy-nilly and take an early renewal without consulting with somebody? That I don't understand. So rates right now, fixed, are coming down. Like 100% they're coming down, and we're seeing variable pretty much stay stable. Stay stable. We probably won't see the next real significant move in variable until the Bank of Canada decides what they're going to do. Okay, so every indication, I actually posted this on social media. It's absolutely nuts. The consumer sentiment and the expectations of the Bank of Canada decline. Benjamin Tal, but guys, that guy makes a lot of money. He's super, super smart. He's come out and said we could see Bank of Canada prime lending rate as low as 3.5% by the end of the year. That's 1.5%. That is ginormous. That might get some variable rate and adjustable rate clients out of the woods, right? So we'll see what happens, but all everything's pointing towards a much lower rate environment. And now what's going to happen, as soon as these rates start to drop, we're going to get huge, huge interest in the market. People who are on this, and we've seen it already. Guys, the last 2 weeks, I've received a ton of phone calls and emails. Clients are like, what can I afford? What can I afford? How about now? How about now? This is happening. So if you're a seller, think about this. If you're a seller, all of a sudden now, if the demand goes up, supply goes up, we've seen this movie before, right? So that's my completely all over the map comments on rates. Just follow this podcast, follow me on social media if you want to stay updated on what the hell's going on, because it's important to understand the economics behind it as well. Let's flip channels completely, or flip topics completely. Foreclosures and powers of sale, and foreclosures and powers of sale. I cannot talk properly today. Okay, I mentioned this on social media, and I'm going to just vent a little bit here on my podcast. I'm getting sick and tired of people losing their minds on foreclosures and power of sales on social media. They're posting like the world is ending tomorrow because there's another foreclosure or power of sale. Now, foreclosures and power of sales are not good. I'm not saying that. But I think we got to put it in perspective. So, the mortgage nerd in me went ahead to a realtor search, realtor.ca, okay? And I basically just did a search. And I used keywords only, power of sale and foreclosure. And so most listings will say power of sale foreclosure in the comments. And this is just a public website. Completely unscientific, okay? So if I'm wrong, please put it in the comments, and I would love to be educated on this. And I started looking at some of these properties. And I'll tell you, like there's one here, fully done, tenanted the whole bit. And the seller is Bright Path Capital. Okay, so that is a private lender. I saw that a few times. A lot of private lenders have had these mortgages come up and people are like, I can't pay it. Remember, people do private lending because it's higher risk. They can't qualify under an A or a B. Okay, private lending is supposed to be very short term. So if you have a situation where something is not short term anymore, you might not be able to afford it. So I can look at this one, for example, and tell you You got the main floor paying $3,400 a month, and now they can't afford the mortgage because they're selling it at 1.3 million. Now, I didn't go as far as checking maybe House Sigma to see, what was this purchased and sold for before. I'll let you guys play around with that, but private lenders are going to be big. I didn't see any of these that said bank or Scotia or RBC or whatever. I don't see those, right? Here's another one, right? Another private mortgage. Or here's what else I'm seeing again, completely unscientific, half done renovations. I'm looking at one in Orangeville right now. Under power of sale, does not indicate the lender, but let's just assume it's a private, probably because it looks like the house is just not in very good shape at all. It looks like they bought this thing with a lot of problems, and it's down to the studs. I can tell you right now, these guys ran out of money. The basement looks horrible. But I bet you that's what happened. So they probably bought this property, ran out of money, or the interest rate got high, or the private decided, you know what, we're not renewing this. Like, this property looks like hell. It almost needs to be torn down. Oh, there's a nice sign on the front lawn. Let's just see what that says. Can I make that any bigger? That's what she said. Oh, that's not appropriate. But that's why this is marked explicit. So, yeah, so this is in rough shape. So this is another example of a power of sale, right? So here's another one. This is a private lender as well. So where I'm going with this is we've just come on. Okay, how do I word this properly? Private mortgages were abused. Just call it what it is. Private mortgages were abused and they were treated like A lenders, right? To the point where even in the mortgage broker world, you now need to have a special certification to do a private mortgage, right? So I look at this, for example, as something where it's like these aren't really impacting, and they are in some cases, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's none like this, but these aren't really impacting ma and pa type families who are with RBC, TD, Scotia, CIBC, BMO, etc. Not yet. I don't know if they will. Mortgage delinquencies are still super low, folks. So, listen, if these are private mortgages that maybe shouldn't even been written to begin with because there was no exit strategy, etc., or it's a rental that's gone horribly wrong, or someone didn't do their due diligence, or whatever the case may be, this is probably more stuff that's clogging up the real estate system as opposed to our Airbnb friends, right? Like, have we given that some thought? So I get really frustrated when I see all this stuff around, oh my God, the world is ending tomorrow because there is a foreclosure. Well, you've got to do some research on this. And again, listen, this is high level, right? I'm not pulling charts and graphs like some of our friends on social media who spend hours and hours on this. That's not what I'm doing here. So I'm just looking at names, what the properties look like. You tell me. I would love to hear in the comments, what do you see on this whole foreclosure power of sale thing? I'm seeing crazy low delinquencies on mortgages still. Uh, looks like private lenders, looks like failed flips, renos, etc. More so. I'm not saying, a regular single family is not losing their home because they can't pay their mortgage. I'm not saying that. And we might see more of that as mortgages come up for renewal, right? And payments are increased. We'll see. But I'm not seeing this as, oh, please don't get mad at me when I say this. It's probably not a bad thing when we're maybe cleaning out the system with private mortgages that are really high risk anyway to begin with, and maybe people who shouldn't have been doing renos. Right? You can see me if you're not if you're not watching me on YouTube, you can see me shrugging my shoulders with a look. Okay. Let's flip gears again. All right. Immigration. What would a Green Effect podcast be without a conversation about immigration? Okay. So I've been on here. Everyone knows my stance on immigration. Okay. We need it. 100%. We are dying faster than we are living. Period. End of story. It's what's happening. I've also talked about do we have to rejig the system to really help satisfy the type of permanent resident we're allowing, right? To make up for shortfalls, something like that. Well, now, and I'm reading this in a couple of different places, all of a sudden, after record, we had like, I don't know, 700,000 or 4 or 5 or like a gazillion people in Q4 of last year, okay? Immigrated to Canada, permanent resident, something like that. Like off the charts. Now all of a sudden, I'm reading in places from very reputable sources saying that there's a complete decline in the number of applicants. Because word's out, this is a kind of a shitty place to be right now if you're new to Canada and you're a student and you might be living on the street. Apparently word is out. Now, I don't know exactly how that's being spread and stuff like that, but if I've got choices as someone who wants to move on to a better life, I'm going to do some due diligence. And maybe, remember, a lot of these families, not a lot, but several of these families follow previous generations who have already been here. So we get, that's why Toronto, not why, the main reason, but one of the reasons why Toronto is so populated, because we do have generations of immigrants coming into the country. They want to be with their mom, their dad, their kid, their whatever. Well, now they're kind of saying, you know what? There might be better places to move, right? Maybe there's other places with great education, etc. So I'm reading that we're just lower on applications. And one country in particular is India. Now, JT and friends is a perfect segue into my next section here. Let's face it, they're not you put India and Canada in the same sandbox, and they're basically throwing sand at each other. And then you got maybe the US eating the sand. Come on, that was funny. Cut me a break. I thought it was funny. Whatever, okay? But this might be a bigger picture issue. So we need immigration. Do we need the level? No. Could this decline help a little bit? Probably. Right? We got homeless. We got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So let's see how, if you're going to follow a stat that I will post, follow application numbers of new immigrants to Canada, right? So we're looking at work permit issued, student visa, and permanent residency being granted, right? Those are kind of your three big categories. So more on this, we'll see what happens. Like I said, we need it. Dude, we need immigration. I am a grandchild of immigrants. Like, it's necessary. Maybe a rejig, right? And as much as, and again, perfect segue into my next topic, as much as we all know that the federal government and Justin and his cast of merry men, okay, and Disney Plus lady, are just so big on housing, I don't know. This maybe needs to be rejigged somehow. So, on that note, let's get right into our weekly slam on the federal government and bigger Canada. I'll leave Tiffy Boy alone for this one, maybe, unless I got to pull him back in. What is that from The Godfather 3? They pull me back in. So, I don't know, where do I start? Sometimes there's so much material, I don't even know what to say first. So, I've been sharing this on social media because JT, he doesn't have a lot of friends anymore. He just doesn't. And I don't know if TikTok is just talking to me, because as you know, all your apps are listening to you, okay? But Buddy can't catch a break, and it's all his fault. Between him and Disney Plus lady just buggering shit up. Please, if you get a chance, I think it was just this past Thursday or Friday, I posted, what do the kids call it? A stitch? Stitch, a duet or whatever. An amazing young reporter from CTV has Disney Plus lady on, and she is calling bullshit on everything. And I said in this video on social media, I said, there's got to be a marketing person at the federal government rolling in like disgust and stress because the tone of Disney, Chrystia Freeland, okay, Minister of Finance, Deputy Prime Minister, the tone and body language from her was disgusting. And it's just like we're just making it worse. Go back and check it out. It's on all my social media. And she's got her head kind of cocked. And it's like one of two things. Either she's talking down to the reporter, or she's like, wait a second. This is not what we discussed how we were going to talk about this. This isn't on script. So JT's getting some hate. And you know what? I don't care. I seriously don't. The more I research, and guys, believe it or not, I actually do a little bit of research before these things. The more I kind of research this is pretty buggered up. Like, I really think, and now let me say this. I actually think his heart is in the right spot. It really is. But it's kind of like a kid who wants to, we'll use the lemonade stand. I like lemonade. It tastes good. I'm going to become a salesperson. Not everyone should become salespeople to sell something that they love. Okay? We see that all the time on Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. Okay? You just shouldn't do it. This is JT and Disney Plus lady and the rest of the, how do I put this nicely? People who are up in Ottawa right now. So, listen, he has talked about we want to be better for the environment. Brother, I get it. Better for the environment. We got to fix this. We got to fix that. We got to do all these things. Canadians are wonderful. But I get it. I understand. I'm with you. However, like I said, the delivery's all wrong. And now it's at a point where we're right back. I've said this before. Kathleen Wynne 2.0 completely has buggered this up. And now the next election, which you may as well just do it tomorrow, because you're just stopping, you're fighting the inevitable, okay? We're just going to vote for anybody who makes sense, because we're so sick of this. This is what this has got. It's gotten to that point now, because he's on point. We got to fix the environment. Yeah, you're right, buds. We do, right? Fix oil heat. Knock yourself out, right? But let's face it. He was elected. Part of it was around housing. He was going to fix the 10 years of the screw up of Stephen Harper. All right. Who, by the way, his kids played volleyball, so he's a good guy. What's worse? You picked up, how do I put this again nicely? You picked up a pile of shit and you made it a lot bigger. The whole point was you were going to take this over and make chicken shit into chicken salad. You didn't do that very well. Don't give me the pandemic. The pandemic buggered everybody. I get it, but it'd be great to have some leadership, right? So just watch some social media. There's a lot of younger, fantastic reporters who are interviewing this guy, and they're calling bullshit. I love it. Same with Chrystia Freeland, calling bullshit. Who I'm going to challenge everybody on this podcast. Everybody on this podcast, I'm challenging you right now. If you can find a video or anything with Chrystia Freeland actually answering a question, like, here's the question, here's the answer, without going from like, tell me about the market and talking about the trees in PEI, I will give you a $10 gift card. I will do that. Okay? Send me a video, mention me, tag me, whatever, of Chrystia Freeland being asked a question and answering it in less than 15 seconds, like an actual answer to the question. I'll up the ante, a $15 gift card. I will send that to you. And if you can find that, you might even be able to be a guest on this podcast going forward. All right. Wow, 25 minutes of me bitching and complaining. I don't know how I have people listening to this podcast, but God bless you all. Clearly there's a snowstorm and nothing else to do. Okay, that's all I got for today. Folks, follow me, like me, love me, want me, desire me, 5-star me, whatever, okay? But in all seriousness, follow me on social media, because that's where I'm trying to put as many updates as I can for this, okay? It's tough to stay on top of it. That's what I'm here for, to try to help with that. And until next time, how do we always end this now? Keep fit and have fun. See ya.